Spurs have just won the game 3-2 against Brentford at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But I have to say, I can only talk personally. Ash from SouthViewCoys is here. He'll give his 2 pence worth in a second. But I'm going to say one of the most frustrating games that has made me as angry as I felt as a Spurs fan for a while. Now, look, it's not that I think we're trying to do anything wrong. It's not that I don't think we're on the right path. It's not that I don't think Ange Postecoglou is getting us playing in the right way. But there are times in the Premier League where you just have to run it into the corner. You just have to let them foul you or take that time out of the game. And in the last 5 minutes of that game, we were naive beyond belief. And I think had Brentford equalised then, all I would have said is we deserve it. It was our problem. But look, we won the game, 3 points. I'm livid, as you can tell. Ash, give a more balanced thought.
I mean, to be fair, we started off really well, explosively well. And I was punching the air, I was celebrating. And I was like, that's what we need to do. Be more assertive, get on the ball, take your man on, get your shot off, because you never know, it might deflect into someone else and we might score a goal. But we are Spurs fans. We have PTSD. We give away sloppy opportunities all the time. So my host here, my co-host, his blood pressure is through the roof. I need to give him some insulin to calm his blood pressure right down, because we've had it time after time. There's a reason why we were called Spursy. There's a reason why we've been called bottle jobs. And we're not killing off games. We're not seeing out games. And I think that's where we're not happy, because we want performances where Brentford are coming. They're not in good form. They haven't got a good away record. They had a lot of injuries. It wasn't a full strength Brentford team. And we need to be putting these teams to the sword and making examples of them. Now, to be fair, we had it under control at 3-1, but
that's why I'm in this position. That's why I'm in this mood now, because we had it under control, and you're in a situation where it's up to them to come and do something worldy or really incredible to get the next goal and bring back the momentum. But instead, and look, and this is where there's a bit of a disconnect for me in that, yes, we want them to be front foot and to be brave and whatever. And yes, we want them to play young players. And Udogie got a great goal and he's a brilliant player. Of course he is. But there is something about little moments where momentum starts to shift in games where we're not yet smart enough to take the sting out of it. And that second goal for them, I think, was the example. And that's when, you know, my blood pressure started to raise, because we put ourselves in a position we didn't need to be in.
I think it's a case of this game we need to learn from. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We're not the finished article by a mile, because you can see that. But I think if Udogie doesn't do that through ball to Tony, that changes the whole face of the game.
Maybe we win 4 or 5-1.
Exactly. And then the pressure doesn't come on the boys. We don't try to force things where they're not there. I felt like at times we were trying to be a bit too cute on the ball and we got caught out. Yeah. And that's what invited them on, actually. And they would have thought, you know, we should have got a point from this. And that's what's disappointing from a Spurs point of view. We're at home. We should be outperforming them. But, I mean, if I want to be positive, and there's a few positives I want to talk about, is Johnson. I thought Johnson came on that right-hand side, and I thought he was electric. He got on the back stick. That's what you want to see. He got his goal. Yeah. He took his man on. I thought at times he needed to defend. He did that well. There was times when he got the ball up the pitch. And let's not get it twisted. Brentford are cheaters, man. Brentford are nasty. Aye, listen, the way they were fouling, I think, like, I'll let Barnaby talk about this bit because this is his bit. Like,
well, actually, I think it's a bigger picture thing, which is I think opposition managers are coming to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and telling their players, if you rile up that team, they lose focus and they lose their kind of ability to be instinctive and play the great football that we have. And the first half was exactly that.
It was.
And Brentford did it really smartly. Neil Maupay winding us up, pushing us, our players every single time. And look, I put my hands up and say that's good management, because Thomas Frank has not got the level of player at his disposal. So he's looking for dark arts ways to level it up. And he did it really well. But, you know, that's what's extra frustrating to me, because at half time of the game, honestly, I'm thinking, I don't see us getting back into this. And then we get our way back into it and we score 3 quick goals and then we start being naive again. And look, I agree. Like, we're not the finished article, and maybe there's an element of me being the naive one because I'm kind of thinking we should roll these teams over. But actually, maybe it's naive of me to think at this stage of the project that it's going to be like that. We're talking about a team who did go to Stamford Bridge and win 2-0. Like, sure, they've had a few bad results, but those results are mostly in games where they're probably trying to be on the front foot a little bit more, but they are absolutely brilliant at that. And it's just gutting to me that we let them back in. You mentioned Johnson. I agree. I think Johnson did well. It'll be interesting to see whether Big Ange says, that there was anything wrong with Bentancur as to why he took him off at halftime. That seemed a bit of a surprise. But they gave on TNT man of the match to Richarlison. I'd agree. People underestimate Richarlison's work rate and how important that is for this team. The amount of times that he was responsible for us winning the ball back, very impressive. Not just because he scored a goal, very impressive.
I agree. I wanted to talk about their number 6, their defensive midfielder, their captain.
Norgard,
that kept, he got a yellow card. He was on a yellow card for quite a long time. And after that, he was committing foul after foul after foul. And I'm pretty sure as a referee, you've got a book and a log. And when a player makes a foul, you kind of mark that. And I think, is it not after 3 fouls or 3 offences, then they go into the book? Do you know what I mean?
There's no hard and fast rule, but it's like if you foul repeatedly, and especially professional fouls, by which I don't mean like last man, I mean when a team is on the break and you get them down. The one against Brennan Johnson was completely ridiculous.
Did not play the ball.
Brennan Johnson, one of the quickest players in the league probably, rightly on a counter-attack, takes his touch ahead of the guy, and the guy just runs across him.
I would have liked to see
a foul and a yellow card all day, every day, and he didn't even give a foul.
Johnson was very confident in that game, and I would have liked to see if he had not got fouled, what he would have done in that final third. That would have been interesting to see what happened, to see how confident he got, and what a Johnson looks like when he's super confident. And I'm interested as well, moving forward, if he can take this type of form into Everton. And does Ange put him on the bench again and rile him up, like I said before, like do a Son, where you you kind of say, look, use this energy and show me what type of player you are? Or does he start him? And I wonder if he goes back to type. I don't know.
It'd be interesting to see, because I think that Everton game at Goodison, it's the early Saturday game, 12:30.
Correct.
I think it'll be a very similar game in that they'll set up to play a very similar way, play deep, hard to break down, and then hit us on the break.
Yeah.
But if anything, they'll also have the addition of the crowd behind them.
Yes.
And also, I'd say arguably a few bit better players on the pitch as well. Everton are also in a bit of a bad run though. So look, I'm not sure. I think he might start with a similar team. Although, if you're Skippy, Skippy basically seems to get the hook every time he starts. He seems to get the hook pretty much after half an hour, 45 minutes, sorry.
Yeah, the thing is as well, Saul will be back for that game. So our midfield will look slightly different and run a bit.
Back in.
Our midfield will run slightly smoother. Defensively, I think he'll clean up a lot as well. But yeah, coming back to the game, I just thought it wasn't just their defensive midfielder that was committing the challenges. It was other players as well. A lot of them picked up a lot of yellow cards. And I just thought the ref wasn't... I hate doing this as well, but I honestly thought the ref wasn't on our side.
He had an effect on the game, the referee.
Yeah, I thought he managed it poor.
Just because we're coming to the kind of 8-9 minute mark, let's talk about some of the real positives. I thought Romero and Van der Ven were absolutely colossal again.
Yeah, I do. I agree. I think aerially Van der Ven as well impressed me. He was winning balls in the air. He always does the roadrunner thing when he gets back, like his superpower. He just presses the booster button, and he's got boosters on the back of his shoes, and he cleans up so well. Romero at times in possession, I thought, was quite aggressive. He was quite high up, which allowed some of our other midfielders to push forwards. I think the composure between the two just growing. The understanding between them is improving each week, and actually, like, I like the fact that Romero's captain, because I always worry that he's going to do something erratic and something rash. But I thought in this game he was quite composed. Apart from, I would say the one critique I would say was the actual goal, the first goal, the opening goal, where we've mentioned it already. He needs to, if you're gonna go with Mopé, get not touch tight, but get closer to him. Know where he is on the pitch, or if not, I need you to close down Tony, because you were the closest man to him, and maybe put him off that shot, because then maybe Vicario doesn't parry it into Mopé's pathway and he gets that goal.
If anything, it was like he almost trusted Vicario to save it too much.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. That was a bit risky.
Stay close enough to Mopé. Got to talk about James Maddison. I thought he started really well, kind of first 5-10 minutes. Then, maybe a little bit of his lack of rhythm and rustiness came in, but obviously he's always wanting the ball and love having him on the pitch. And I think it was good that he stayed on for as long as he did. And by the end, I thought he was kind of playing at about a 7 out of 10. Obviously, that third goal, I think it was of ours, came from him. There were actually lots of occasions where he got himself into really tight space in the box and he did something that none of our other players will tend to do. Maybe other than Bentancur is good in the tight space like that.
Yeah.
Quick feet, tight spaces, willing to take a shot, and we got Richarlison's goal as a result. Yeah. So I think he kind of played a 7 out of 10. It's great to have him back. Cramp at the end, which you'd expect. But if you were going to give a man of the match, where are you giving it? Put you on the spot there.
Yeah, no, Richarlison, I tend to agree. Stylistically, I love what Maddison did because Maddison's taking the risks. I know Richarlison ran his socks off. He ran his heart off. And Maddison didn't always get that pass off. But I think I like bravery. That's the thing I like to commend, because without bravery, then you're not creating shot creation actions. But I do understand how important Richarlison is to the team. He needs to be that front man. He did that well. He held onto the ball extremely well as well. He tired their defenders out. He didn't stop as well. He kept being positive. And on that basis, I'll give it to him because he did get the goal.
Okay, and finally, just because it's, I think, 24 hours until the transfer deadline closes, I think it's most likely we'll agree that we're not going to bring anyone in.
Yeah.
But if Daniel Levy was going into the boardroom tonight and was suddenly thinking, we've got a chance to really push towards that second place tonight, and I'm willing to put, let's say, 50, 60 million on the line, which I'm not saying he is, but where in our first team would that kind of money most benefit us right now? Would it be a Tony, or would it be a Gallagher or a Ramsey, or another central midfielder, or obviously that rumor, which I think is kind of a bullshit rumor, but that last night the Sun back page Dominic Solanke rumor.
Solanke's not quite there yet for me. I do like him.
He's 26 though, so if he's not quite there now, I'm not sure if he's ever going to be there.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't realize how old he was. I watched him at Liverpool and Chelsea before, and then I thought he had a good season. I thought he had a good season last season at Bournemouth, but the numbers would tell you different. This season he's actually breaking away with his numbers, and everyone's looking at him now. But I thought last season he was quality in terms of like holding up play. Sometimes playing deep like a midfielder, linking up play, first touch, 1-2 touch. Then in the box, he was able to get onto things, make things happen, score goals at the end of it. But for me, in that position that we need, I still think the wingers, I still will go for the wingers, because as you saw in that final third, that's what we were lacking. The football IQ, the spatial awareness, the decision making, that quality in that final third, the final pass, the cut back, the shot, that bravery as well, taking the man on. For me, that's still missing. I know we got better at that in the second half, and Ange probably got into them, because there was a point when Kulu had that chance and he didn't take it. He wanted it on his left, and he saw how angry Ange was. He was fuming. Yeah. And so if I was a betting man, I would say maybe a wing forward. But I know Ange actually was desperately for Gallagher. He wanted that man that if Sarr comes off, we need someone that's equal quality to come on for Sarr. And like I said before, Ramsey for me is better than, especially going forward with it. He's quite combative. A lot of people don't realize he wins the ball high up the pitch, Ramsey. So he has got a tackle on him. I just think Gallagher runs back. He's that kind of like run back defensive kind of midfielder type, if that makes sense.
He's a presser. His big thing is pressing.
That's what it is. I think that's the difference. And I think that's what Angela's looking for. But for me, I would focus on a wing forward right now, because that final third is lacking. But Ramsey would be ideal. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I hadn't thought about it a great deal, but when you started talking about wingers, I just immediately thought, and this is, I think, as much about being a Spurs fan as anything else. It's like there's room for another Maddison level flair player in one of those wing forward roles. So by which I mean an Elise or an Eza from Palace. And I feel like both of those players have release clauses in their contract. Yeah. And at some point, and it may be too soon now, but at some point when Spurs really start to benefit from what the stadium brings in revenue-wise,
I've been waiting for this.
At some point, Levy has to go, bang, I'm gonna push the boat out more than I want to for a player of that ilk, because I'm telling you, by the summer, Eze and Elise will go to Man City. One will go to Man City and one will go somewhere else.
Exactly.
And we'll be gutted to have missed out on them, because they are players who take the ball in every situation, beat a man, and are unbelievable final ball merchants as well. And I think you're right. I think we need one more of them.
I've been waiting since the club opened the new stadium up. That was what I was promised, and I was patient. When we get this new stadium, we'll be able to compete with the big boys. Yeah. And so I've been hanging on to that ever since. And I do understand there's
the pandemic.
I do understand all of the but I've been patient.
You have.
But
Ash has been patient.
I've been patient, but I'm hoping now in the summer, and if it doesn't happen this summer, I'll be honest, I don't think it ever will. My hope will go.